This is this treasure that we have here. It's undiscovered. Building a company here is a great idea. And until it's undiscovered, like, we should take advantage of that, because, you know, soon it might be harder to compete for some of the things that are easier to compete for today. So it's a great time. Now is the time to do it. There's just like a lot of great things going for this city, and we're super excited.
Mm-hmm.
So we hear less often now that there's no money in Ottawa, that you have to go somewhere else to raise money. We're seeing companies successfully raising money here. We're seeing big rounds, not necessarily angel rounds, but we are seeing some big rounds with companies like Ascent Compliance, which are showing that you can actually scale a company. Shopify, of course, being a huge example of scaling a company in Ottawa as your headquarters. And I think that's driving a lot more companies to stay in Ottawa and to look to raise money in Ottawa. Mm-hmm. And I think if you look around, Ottawa just seems to be booming, I think would be a reasonable word. The last couple of years have seen a real transformation. We went through a few doldrums for several years, but I think we're out of that, and I think there's a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement about the tech community in Ottawa, and a lot of companies getting to that stage where they're ready to raise.
Everything isn't X plus Y equals Z, right? Sometimes there's second and third order effects to when you grow a business, and they're very often forgotten in those early days. And, you know, another example is we just founded Context Air USA Corporation, right? Why would you do that? You're so few people. Because we know that to do business with certain government entities, we need a U.S. entity, right? So you set that up in advance. Don't do it when you need it, right? Because I can tell you, when I got the Lockheed Martin F-22 contract sitting on my desk, but it's got a proviso that says must be with a U.S. corporation, not the time to go figure out how to set up a U.S. corporation. Now is.
What I've seen from the front is a lot of companies, a lot of individuals out in the world can do some very nefarious activity. So I was part of that community for a time. We were tasked with breaking and entering on systems that belonged to an organization. We were paid by that same organization to break in. So in a lot of ways, you're red teaming, or you're trying to assault an encampment or an organization that is already well aware of what their security vulnerabilities are, but they're looking for somebody else to come in and think about the threat scenario that they haven't thought of yet, or maybe something that's new. So it kind of gives you this malicious mindset. Mm-hmm. So when I denigrate myself, or I tease myself and describe myself as a black hat hacker, you come across with this knowledge and you have this understanding of how to actually remove the security apparatus or disassemble the linkages of that security to be able to gain access to that trusted environment.
And what's so great about this topic for me is that finally we have the research and data that shows so clearly that having women in business improves business results dramatically.
Yeah, there's definitely some stubborn people out there still and who are stuck in their ways, if you will, but I think with the younger generation and the technology, just be apps on your iPhone and whatnot, it's really it's provided a forcing mechanism for that older generation to adopt, and they're finding the efficiency gains in terms of simple things like GPS systems, bin management in terms of knowing what the quality is in the bin and making sure that there's no grain being spoiled. If I take it a step further, there's a lot of hardware and IoT things that are happening, precision agriculture. So I know that I shouldn't be putting as much crop inputs down in this part of the field because there's already a lot of naturally occurring nitrogen or phosphate or boron or other elements that are critical to growing a crop. So the efficiency gains ultimately result in productivity gains. You're able to grow a better crop, a bigger crop, and ultimately that adds to the bottom line.